Today, I want to talk to you about something that is subtle. It's actually kind of quiet and it's often completely invisible, especially to women who are capable and responsible and used to handling a lot. So, this isn't an episode about fear in the way that we usually talk about fear. It's not about procrastination or laziness or not wanting success badly enough. It's actually about the quiet internal moments where a woman starts negotiating with herself about what she's allowed to want. Because most women don't wake up one day and decide to play small. They slowly begin to edit themselves. They shorten those dreams, those big, big dreams that they've been seeing behind their eyes their entire life. They lessen them. They lessen their desires and they lower the expectation, not because they don't want more, not because they don't deserve more, but because wanting more, it really asks them to confront who they would have to be, who they would have to become in order to receive more. And it's that moment right there. That's where the vision gets lost. So today I want to talk about the cost of shrinking your vision. Shrinking your vision, this is how it actually shows up. And here's the thing that most women don't realize. So when you're shrinking down, it rarely looks dramatic. It's a very slow fade. So I started my first business in 2007 and I've had multiple businesses since then. And I've done a lot of incredible things. I've done television. I've auditioned for amazing things. I've been on really impressive big stages. And every time I started to shrink back, I didn't actually recognize it because it's a very quiet thing that happens. Like I said, it doesn't look dramatic. It doesn't look like you quitting your business or you abandoning your goals entirely. It's a slow letting of the foot off the gas. And it actually seems reasonable at times. It seems really responsible at times, even spiritual. And I work with a lot of people in the spiritual space, Christians and people who are really connected to, what they are hoping God's will be for their lives. And they will use the reasoning of, well, God hasn't given me permission to do that, or I need to pull back. So shrinking back can sound like this. Well, I really don't need that much. Or I should just be grateful for where I am. Or I don't want to put too much pressure on myself. Or my family's just not in the right season, so I'll just let it take the back burner. And on the surface, those statements can sound really healthy. But underneath them is often a deeper story, one that says, if I want less, then I won't risk disappointment. Or if I expect less, I won't have to face failure. Or if I stay here, then I actually don't have to stretch. So a woman takes a desire that she once felt really excited about and she just trims it down. And so many women do this. I see it all the time in the women that I'm coaching, and my girlfriends, and family members, and myself. Women will take a vision that once energized them, and they decide to just turn the volume down. They don't abandon the dream entirely. They just stop listening to it. It's just not as loud in their lives. And what makes this so tricky is that no one around her, around you, around me questions it. But internally, something does feel off because deep down, you always know when you're not being honest with yourself. So I want to share something personal because I have lived this pattern myself. There were definitely seasons in my life and in my business where I told myself, Allison, you are being grounded. You're being so mature right now. You're being content. When in reality, I was actually just being cautious. I was being afraid. I had these dreams that felt very inconvenient to the life that I had already built as a married mother of 3 children. I had these desires that didn't fit neatly into the version of me that people were familiar with. And I had these visions that would require me to raise my standards, not just in my work, but in my life, in my self trust. So instead of fully claiming those desires, I just delayed them. I put them on the back burner. I told them I'm going to revisit that later when things were calmer in my life, when I had more proof that it would work out, or when I felt more ready, like I was more accomplished, or I had more accolades, or I had read all the books on the subject, right? And nothing was wrong on the outside. My life looked fine. I was functioning. I was capable. But internally, there was this restlessness that I could not ignore. And it's not because I was ungrateful, it's because I was outgrowing the life that I was still trying to live inside of. So for me, and I'll even go a little further in sharing my own personal story, being on camera, being on stage, educating, teaching, coaching people on a large scale, this is something that I'm very comfortable doing. I've never had stage fright. I've never been afraid to be on camera. And a lot of people, when I would act or public speak or what, they thought that was so weird because it's such a big fear of so many people. And it just felt uncomfortable for them. And so they put me in this little box of that's not what normal people do. You should be a mom, raising your kids and be at home. And I always had a business. I always had some type of a platform where I was helping other women expand and grow and using my gifts of speaking, my voice, of being able to be on camera and do these things and being able to be on stage as the catalyst to help other people grow. And so, the tension between who you've been and who you're becoming is exhausting when you don't name it. And I remember trying to put that piece of my life away and saying, I'm just going to live a simple life in the country with my chickens and my kids and my family, and I'm going to make lasagna and casseroles. And there's nothing wrong with that. I still do all of those things. But I also embrace this huge piece of me because this is part of my call. It's part of my mission to help other people expand and grow and step into their best as I do the same in my own life. But for a long time, I didn't honor that. So the real cost of playing small. Let's talk about that because it's not just about missed opportunities or unrealized income or not honoring your dreams. I mean, those are all big, but the deeper cost is what it does to your relationship with yourself. So when you consistently shrink your vision, you begin to lose trust in your own intuition. You stop believing that your desires mean something. And over time, that can show up as a lack of motivation, a sense of boredom or numbness, a feeling of being off, even when things, technically seem pretty fine in your life. And I've worked with countless women who tell me, I feel stuck, but I don't know why. And as I work with them and we start to peel back the layers, what we usually find is this. They're trying to feel energized by a vision that they don't actually believe in. And so your energy drops when your goals don't stretch you, when you're not operating in your divine assignment, because your capacity grows before your confidence catches up. And when you stay small for too long, life starts to feel heavier. Not because you're doing too much, but because you're doing too little of what actually matters to you. I talked about the identity weave a little bit last week, but this isn't about doing more. And this is where I really want to be clear. I don't want to lose you here. This is not an invitation to hustle harder or pile more on your plate. I'm not going to ever do that to you. We need to get away from that. The do more era is over. This is an invitation to become more honest with yourself because identity doesn't shift through effort alone. What happens is identity starts to shift when a woman decides that she's no longer available for this self-edit, that she's not going to be self-editing. The woman that you're becoming doesn't shrink her vision to feel safe. You're not doing that anymore. So instead, you're allowing yourself to call her forward, to call your vision forward, even when you don't have all the answers yet. So identity expands first and then the actions follow. And when you stop editing your desires and your dreams and your goals, you begin to rebuild that trust with yourself. It's really about consistent promise keeping to you. And that's how we build trust, right? When we want to build trust with friends or our partner or our children or family members, it's about keeping promises over and over and over again, right? Sticking to your word. That's how you build trust and confidence with yourself as well. And that trust is what creates momentum that actually lasts. So if this conversation is resonating, if you can feel that the quiet tension between the life that you're living and the one that just keeps beckoning at you, you can see it in the distance. You know it's the end. Like you can see it as far as your vision can go. If you want to improve and grow and expand and dream bigger than you ever have before, I want to invite you to something very, very meaningful to me. So I'm hosting my first ever live 3-day event on Zoom. I'm so excited about this. It's happening on February 11th, 12th, and 13th. And this experience is for women who are done shrinking their vision to feel safe. And they're ready to step into a deeper level of clarity and belief and expansion. You want more in 2026. You want more for yourself this year and every other year. You want to learn those tools. And so I have a link below the show notes, a registration link. Secure your spot. Spots are limited. My Zoom room can only hold so many people, but I would love you there. And what we're going to be exploring over the 3-day live event on Zoom is, why you've been minimizing what you actually want, what it looks like to raise your internal standards. And that's actually a lot more fun than it sounds because it's so self-honoring. And this is where true confidence is born. And then how to become the woman who leads herself into the next level of her life. And so I know a lot of people, especially the women I work with, at least mid 30s and up, they're in a shift. A lot of women are in a shift. They're wanting to move into more, move into the next chapter. And that is exactly what I help them do. So like I said, registration link is in the show notes. I would love to support you live. I would love to meet you. It's going to be so much fun. Okay, so as we close, I want to leave you with a question that I believe is worth sitting with for a little bit. So I want you to ask yourself, where have I been shrinking? Not because I need to, but because it feels familiar, it feels safe. And what would change if I stopped negotiating with my own vision? Remember, you do not need permission. You do not need certainty. You just need to get honest with yourself. You need to be honest with yourself here. Okay, friends, now go and be the woman that your future is waiting on. I will see you and talk to you next time. Be blessed.